10th. The topic of today's worksheet is from the chapter 2, acid, bases and salt. In the last worksheet, we have discussed about the pH scale, and we have discussed also about the strong acid, strong base, weak base. Now in the today's worksheet, we are talking of strength of acid and base. That means how we'll say that the particular acid is strong acid and how it will affect the particular reaction and how the strong base affect a particular reaction. So first point is the strength. It is the measure of the ability of the acid and base to produce H ion and OH ion respectively. We have seen in the last worksheet also the table which was saying that the strong acid will have the higher concentration of H ion and the strong base will be having the higher concentration of hydroxide ion. So on the basis of the H ion and OH ion concentration, we can say that the particular chemical is a strong acid or a particular chemical is a strong base. The acids which are 100% ionized in a solution, that means which are completely broken down into the ions and giving rise to H ions, are said to be strong acid, and the acids which are incompletely ionized are known as weak acid. That means they are not giving 100% H ion, like HCl and acetic acid. HCl is said to be strong acid while the acetic acid is having the weak acid. That means if we take the same concentration of both produce different amount of H ions. That means if we are taking 10 ml of HCl and 10 ml of acetic acid in a same concentration and we dissolve both of them in the water, then the number of H ion produced in case of HCl will be higher as compared to the number of H ion produced by the acetic acid. Likewise, HCl dissociates completely to produce H ions while CH3COH, that means acetic acid, it is dissociating partially. That means not completely. Likewise, a base which is 100% ionized in solution and give rise to OH ions are said to be strong base, and the bases which give less OH ion are said to be weak base. But in case of bases, there are very few number of bases which are said to be the strong base, or we can say only the bases which are alkalis in nature. Do you remember the word alkalis, which are completely soluble in water? The bases which are completely soluble in water were known as alkalis. Now when we come to the salts formation, we know that we have read about the neutralization reaction. When an acid combines with the base, give you the salt plus water. But do the salt will have the neutral pH or not is dependent on the reactant side. That means if the strong acid and a strong bases are combining together, then we will get a neutral salt. But if the type of salt is different, then the nature of the salt will also be different. The first case is salt of strong acid and a strong base. First condition, that means both the things are strong, then the nature of the salt will be neutral, and the example can be sodium chloride and potassium sulfate. Acids which are taken in this is, in case of sodium chloride is HCl and base is NaOH. In case of potassium sulfate, it is sulfuric acid and QH. All these are the strong. Second condition is a salt of weak acid and a strong base. So you have to remember that strong base is there and weak acid is there. So the type of salt which will be formed will be on the stronger side. That means if acid is strong, then the salt pH will be on the acidic side, and if base is strong, then the salt pH will be on the basic side. So here we are having the strong base, then the nature of the salt will be basic side, like sodium carbonate, and it is sodium acetate. It is pronounced as sodium acetate because Na is on the last. So in this case, you can say sodium carbonate, H2CO3 is a weak acid and NaOH is a strong base. Likewise, it is a weak acid, acetic acid, and you can take the same base as NaOH. So we are on the base side, we are having the strong base, so that's why the nature of the salt is basic. Third case is strong acid and weak base. Now here we are having the strong acid, so the nature will be acidic. Calcium chloride, HCl is strong acid we are taking, and calcium hydroxide is a weak base we are taking. So the salt which is formed will be acidic in nature. Fourth condition, when both the things are weak, we'll get the neutral. Ammonium carbonate, we are having the H2CO3 and ammonia. So you can see from the table, when both the things are strong, then also we are getting neutral, and when both the things are weak, we are getting neutral salt. In between condition, one is strong, one is weak, then the pH of the salt will be on the stronger side. Either it will be acid or a base. Now the pH of our body. Our body works within the pH range of 7 to 7.8. That means generally our body is, you can say, overall basic in nature, because we are more comfortable in this range. So why the different pH importance in our daily life? The pH of rainwater is less than 5.6. It is acid rain. You heard about the acid rain, and when the pH of the rain, water pH for a distilled water, you can say, or a normal unpolluted water, the pH is 7, but the acid rain is having the pH 5.6. that means it is acidic in nature. That's why it is called acid rain. And this kind of rain is very harmful for the aquatic life, because they are also having a pH range in which their body can survive. If they get a difference in the pH range because of this rain, their body gets harmed. In our digestive system, we are having acidic pH because HCl is produced in our stomach, which is helping in the digestion of food. But due to sometimes indigestion, excess of acid is formed, and because of that we feel the burns in our stomach. And to neutralize that, we have to take some base, and the base may be called as antacid. It is a milk of magnesia or sodium bicarbonate. Generally we are having at home NaCO3. We have studied in the reactions also. So because the acidic nature increases in stomach, so we have to neutralize that effect, so we take base. So such tablets which are used for the indigestion, excess of acid, are known as antacids. When pH becomes lower than 5.5 in our mouth, then it is tooth decay. Why it is said that after having a meal you have to brush your teeth? Because inside the mouth the pH is basic. Okay, so when you are having something, you are eating a sweet thing, then the bacteria in your mouth will break down that sweet thing into the acid, and they lowers the pH of your mouth. That's why if you don't brush in the night before going to bed, and you get up in the morning, you find a very bitter taste, sour taste in your mouth. And that sour taste in mouth is because of the sweet thing at last after the meal you have taken, and that whole the night the bacteria have broken down that sweet thing into the acidic, and it will result into the tooth decay, the degradation of sugar present in the food by the bacteria. And toothpaste which is we are using is alkaline in nature, which helps to maintain the pH of our mouth and helps the enzyme which is released in the mouth for the digestion of carbohydrate. So it is always advised to brush your teeth before going to bed. Now bee sting leaves an acid. We have seen that when a bees sting you, it causes pain and irritation. Why this pain and irritation is called? Because bee sting is having an acid inside it, but if we apply some mild baking soda or on it, you will feel some relaxed because acid, and it will be neutralized by the base. Likewise, the nettle leaves inject formic acid, causing burning pain. Formic acid is also released by red ants. Their name is also on the basis of the release of this formic acid, red ants. So this formic acid can also be neutralized. That means if you have drops in the house, you can make a slight solution and put it on the area of the sting. pH of the soil. pH of soil, as we have studied upwards, that the acid rain pH affects the availability of nutrient to the plant. Higher the acidic soil, it is also harmful, and higher the alkaline, it is also harmful. So if the soil is acidic, we can add alkaline like quicklime or calcium carbonate to make it neutral. So that's why whenever there is acid rain, we have to add calcium carbonate or quicklime in it to make it neutral. Now let us try some question answers on the basis of this worksheet. Identify each salt as acidic, basic or neutral. It's very simple. We have to just see the salt formula and find out which particular acid or base has been used to make this salt. Like KCl is there. So when KCl is formed, there are two things. Acid will be HCl and base will be potassium hydroxide. So both are strong acid and strong base, so it will be neutral. NaNO3, sodium nitrate. So this sodium nitrate will be having two things. One is HNO3, okay, and the another thing will be sodium hydroxide. It will be there. Or what can be there? So it will also be a neutral because both are strong. Ammonium sulfate. In case of ammonium sulfate, we are having strong acid but weak base, so it will be acidic in nature because we are having sulfuric acid H2SO4, so that's why it will be strong acid and weak base will be there. Now the next question is, MgCl2 is derived from which acid and base? So MgCl2, magnesium chloride, that means magnesium hydroxide and HCl will be there. So acid will be HCl and base will be magnesium hydroxide. Next is, why it is advised to brush your teeth after every meal. I have given you the answer in this part also, because the nature of our mouth is basic in nature. So whenever after taking meal, the sugar present in the food is degraded by the bacteria, which will result in the teeth decay. So that's why it is advised to brush teeth after every meal. Which acid is produced in the stomach? It is HCl, hydrochloric acid, which is produced in the stomach. How do aquatic life get affected due to acid rain? The acid rain changes the pH of the water, and this change in pH of water results the inactivity of these aquatic organisms because their body is adapted to a particular range of pH, and this acid rain decreases the pH of the water, which will result in the death of these aquatic organisms. Now, how does an antacid work? Name the two common antacids. So the antacids are the tablets which are used to be taken when there is an indigestion or excess of acid release formed. To neutralize the effect of this acid, we take antacids. Name milk of magnesia or sodium bicarbonate. So these are the two common antacids you can write in this. A plant grows best when the pH of soil is 7.2, but the pH of the soil is found to be 5.6. Name the chemical and its nature that should be added to the soil to adjust pH. Now the pH is below 7, that means acidic. So we have to add base in it, and the base which we can add is calcium carbonate or quicklime can be added to neutralize the effect of it. So this complete your exercise for today's worksheet. Students, kindly subscribe this channel so that you will get some important topics for board in the further coming videos. Thank you.